retire 30,000. Retire 50,000. This is what Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said about it. كُلْ وَرِعًا لَكُمْ أَعْبَدَ النَّاسِ. Be cautious. Be cautious in your conduct. And you will be in Allah's eyes the most devout of all people. See, a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants good for a Muslim is that He inspires in your heart to show caution with respect to matters of religion, caution with respect to the differences, caution when choosing your words, cautious with your choice of dress and how you appear in public, cautious with respect to your finances, caution. And Aisha, she said that my father Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had a servant who would bring Abu Bakr from his earnings, which he would eat from. And on one of those days, Abu Bakr was eating from what his servant brought him. Then the servant said, "You know where I got this from?" Bakr said, "No, I don't." He said, كنت تكهنت إنسان في جيبي وما أحسنك إلا أني خدعتك. He said, once in the days of pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I told somebody about his future, like fortune telling. I told him about his future, although in reality, I had no knowledge of fortune telling, but I cheated. And one that day, he gave me some money for the service that I condemned to accept him, and so this is what you are eating from Abu Bakr. What does Abu Bakr do? He wedged his finger into the back of his throat and vomited everything that he ate. No delay, no searching on the internet trying to find a fatwa around it. Instantly, he got it out of his system. In other narrations, it mentions Abu Bakr actually tried to reduce vomit. So he began to drink water till his belly was full. Then he tried again, and he vomited, and again, and vomited till nothing was coming out. Then when he finished, he raised his hands and he said, Allahumma inni a'tadiru ilayka mimma hamalat al-uruq wa khalatahu al-an'a. Oh Allah, I apologize to you for what remains in my veins and has passed into my intestines. And he said to him, May Allah have mercy on you, Abu Bakr. You do all of this to yourself because of one mouthful? You do all of this because of one mouthful? Abu Bakr, he said, لو لم تخرج إلا مع نفسي لأخرجتها. If this truth was only going to leave my body with the departure of my soul, meaning I had to die, I would have still made sure to fix my body. And that is because I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, كل جسد نبت من سخط فالنار أولى به. Anyone whose body grows through impermissible earning, the hellfire is one of that body.
Conflict isn't fair. Hunger isn't fair. Being forced to work at the age of 10, not fair. Being robbed of childhood isn't fair. Save the Children is working hard to make childhood fair for kids everywhere. And you can help. Your gift today help provide food, water, medical care, and education for children in desperate need. Join us. Make childhood fair. Donate now.
So, don't wait to be taken by surprise by the reply. Don't read. Ask questions while you still can about every part of your life. Investigate your thinking, your finances, your clothes, your relationships, your addiction, your doing, everything that is coming into your account. Exercise wara, being caution. Make it part and parcel of every one of your decisions. This was the behavior of Imam Abu Hanifa. May Allah have mercy. What do we know of the school of thought of Imam Abu Hanifa? Brothers and sisters, it is very important to note that the fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa was formulated as part of a collective effort. So it's not merely the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa. He would sit in the study circle of knowledge that included the likes of Hamid ibn Hassan, Shaybani, Al-Qadi Abu Yusuf, Hafs ibn Riyad, and other scholars of fiqh, and language, and hadith, and judiciary. And this was the main study circle in the city of Kufa. What would happen next is that a mas'ala, meaning a matter of discussion, would be posed. And every participant would be invited to speak. And there would be this back and forth, which would sometimes last up to a month, trying to discuss the conclusion to one matter of discussion of fiqh. Abu Hanifa not impose his opinion on the gathering. Then in the end, when he finished talking, Abu Hanifa would give his input. But when all of the discussion had ended, and the opinion had been settled upon, this opinion would then Hanifa made a mistake.
Find a new rival.
Well, he said, how can he make a mistake? How can he make a mistake? When with Abu Hanifa was the likes of Abu Yusuf and Zufar, who are known for their qiyas, the process of deductive analogy. And he has with him Yahya ibn Abi Zahiya and Hafs ibn Riyad and Hibban and Mandal, who are known for their memorization of hadith. And he has with him Al-Qasim ibn Ma'am, who is known for his knowledge of the Arabic language. And he has with him Dawood al-Ta'i and Fudayl ibn Iyad, who are known for their zuhd and their caution, their wara'. He said, whoever has such people as his companions, will gradually make mistakes. He says, if he does, they will correct. The point here is to show not faultlessness or flawlessness. The point is to show that it was a collective effort. This Abu Hanifa who was weighing in on by himself. SubhanAllah, if there was a matter that remained unclear of Abu Hanifa, is simply struggling to reach a conclusive opinion, won't be saying, yes, he would say to his friends, مَا هَذَا إِلَّا لِذَنْبٍ أَذْنَبْتُهُ. It's because of a sin. It's not because of a sin that I have. So he would repent to Allah, and he would say, Astaghfirullah, and at times he would stay in prayer till the night. It's again, he would say to his friends, أَرَجَوْتُ أَنَّهُ إِنْ بَحَيْنِ. I hope that I have been forgiven. Allahu Akbar, conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Abu Hanifa was blessed with great students, like Abu Yusuf, who would act as the judge for the Khalifa, the highest of his era, like Harun al-Rashid. And he had students like Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, and students like Zufar. Now, the rest of the three Imams, as we shall find out, they also had students. They were blessed with beautiful students, but it couldn't be argued that nobody can be compared to the students of Imam Abu Hanifa specifically. Particularly with the respect and the service which they offered to the work of their Imam. And the huge role that they played in promoting his madhab, his school of thought, to the east and west. Bearing in mind just how few the books were which Imam Abu Hanifa actually authored himself. There's so few that you could attribute directly to him. It was his students who carried the load on behalf of Abu Hanifa to the world. This school of thought today is the most widely adopted school of thought. And as early as the Abbasid dynasty, it was Abu Hanifa's school of thought which they had chosen to expand across the Muslim world. The same can be said about the Ottoman dynasty. They had adopted Abu Hanifa's school of thought, and they played a huge role in promoting to the world, and playing a role in promoting the Iraq, and the Sham, and Egypt, the Indian subcontinent, and even as far as China. And in fact today, there are over 80,000 Muslim Ummah who are followers of Imam Abu Hanifa and his school of thought, La ilaha illallah. Finally, what do you know about the death of Imam Abu Hanifa? May Allah have mercy upon him. Abu Hanifa was invited on at least 2 occasions to accept the position of Arabic judge. He refused both occasions. He felt inadequate to take this responsibility. On the second occasion, when he refused the request of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur al-Abbasi, Imam Abu Hanifa would endure his first experience of prison life. And others have suggested that he was actually lashed 110 times. And Abu Hanifa, he said, كان غم والدتي أشد علي. He said, the grief that I knew that my mother would experience because of what I was going through, that was more painful to me than the lashes that were falling by my mother. Allahu Akbar. Beautiful to his mother as well. There behind bars, Imam Abu Hanifa was made to endure grueling conditions. This was the situation of every Imam who left a legacy. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. He was at the time around 70 years of age, but they didn't show mercy to this old man. His body had fatigued, its lips were weak, but his resolve, Allahu Akbar, was unmoved. And this is one of the miraculous properties of Iman. Give his strength that cannot be described. But subhanAllah, nevertheless, there is only so much that the body of an old man can take. So in the year 158, after the Hijrah, in the month of Rajab, while especially in pain, the blessed soul.
Toll free at 877-2. Hello, my name is Beverly with RWJ Barnabas Health Systems Business Office. This is a courtesy call from our customer service department.
Back to its creator. Some have suggested that Al-Mansur had actually poisoned the food. So if this is true, we can also hope that Imam Abu Hanifa had attained, inshaAllah, the position of Shahad Fatiha. Imam Ibn Kathir, he said that the funeral prayer of Imam Abu Hanifa was carried out upon him 6 times due to the conviction of the people to take offended. And his grave is there in Baghdad. May Allah have mercy upon him. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy upon this Muslim ummah is rare. Because in the same year which Imam Abu Hanifa passed away in the year 150 after the Hijrah, another great Imam would be born. He is Muhammad ibn Idris Shafi'i. We should be speaking about in another episode. And therefore the scholars, they said about this death and birth, they said, Mata Amarun wa wulida Qamar. A moon had died and another man. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. As for the second of the 4 great Imams, his name is Malik, son of Anas. And although he was of academic origins, he was born in the city of Medina, the city of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the year 93 after the Hijrah, or the year 703 in the Gregorian calendar, which happened to be the same year that the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Anas ibn Malik, passed away. They were born. He was born in the year Anas passed away. What do we know about the childhood and the upbringing of Imam Malik? We know that the quest for knowledge of Imam Malik began in the earliest of his years, and he would arrive at a position of teaching at the tender age of 11 years old. And by the age of 21 years old, he was in a position to issue fatwa, Islamic ruling, 21 years old. and it was his father who planted the initial seed of interest towards Islamic knowledge within the hearts of Malik. And Malik remembers the day when his father posed an Islamic question to both him and his brother. His brother got the answer straight away, and he was correct. Malik's answer was not correct. So his father, the father of Malik, said to Malik, أَلْهَاكَ اللَّعِبُ لِلْحَمَامِ عَنْ طَلَبِ الْعِلْمِ. He said, games, God, has distracted you for knowledge. You're busy. You're busy playing games. This upset Malik. This angered him. And so from that day on, he decided to dedicate himself to the companionship of a man called Abdullah ibn Yazid, otherwise known as Ibn Hurmuz. Ibn Hurmuz was a scholar from the Tabi'in, from the second generation of Muslims. And for 7 years, Imam Malik freed himself up entirely during that period. And arriving at the door of Ibn Hurmuz in the early hours of the morning, and he would arrive or he would leave during the late hours of the night. And his brother very much encouraged him to further his knowledge, to further his manners. Imam Malik, he said, كانت أمي تعلمني وتقول لي اذهب إلى ربيعة فتعلم من أدبه قبل علمه. He said, my mother, she used to tie a turban around my head when I was a kid. The turban was the sign of scholarship. My mother used to tie a turban around my head. She said, you go to Rabi'ah and learn from his manners before you learn from his knowledge. MashaAllah. What a gift his mother gave to humanity, making a man who would then make an ummah. Malik. His parents had both so gently and so intelligently set Malik upon a path that he would remain upon for the next 80 years or so of his life.
Injury Code Financial app.
And as you just heard, according to the mother of Imam Malik, it must all begin with manners, with adab. And it's true, you come across today people of immense knowledge, but they're quick to fall from your eyes when you realize how vulgar, how harsh, how ill-mannered, how self-impressed this person may be. And on the contrary, you may come across a person of quite average knowledge, but this person is quick to grow in your eyes due to the humbleness, the adab, the refined character of this person. Manners, according to Malik's mother, it begins there. Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, وَكَانَ الرَّجُلُ لَا يَطْلُبُ الْعِلْمَ حَتَّى يَتَأَدَّبْ وَيَتَعَبَّدْ قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ 20 سَنَةً. He said the students of knowledge of the past, they would only embark on the journey for knowledge when they had first acquired manners and exerted a huge effort in worship for 20 years. Then they would begin their journey for knowledge. Ya Allah. And Makhlad ibn Hussein, he said to Abdullah ibn Mubarak, نحن إلى قليل من الأدب أحوج منا إلى كثير من العلم. We are in more need of small amounts of good manners than huge amounts of knowledge. We need small amounts of good manners in people, as opposed to huge amounts of knowledge. And some of our predecessors would say to their children, advising them along these lines, they would say, يا بني لأن تتعلم بابا من الأدب أحب إلي من أن تتعلم 70 بابا من أبواب العلم. My son, for you to master just one chapter on the topic of mannerisms, that is more beloved to me than if you were to master 70 chapters on knowledge. Ya Allah. According to Malik's mother, it begins there. Imam Malik also studied at the hands of Nafi'. Who was Nafi'? The servant of Abdullah ibn Umar, who was the servant of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wow. And the knowledge which Malik would transmit from Nafi' would later be given the title of As-Silsilatul Dhahab, or Silsilatul Dhahab, the golden chain of transmission. Because this was a pristine, authentic chain of transmission that consisted of Malik, who took from Nafi', who took from Abdullah ibn Umar, who took from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Nafi' is the name of another one of Imam Malik's teachers. Nafi' was temperamental, however. So Malik was very careful in his approach. And he was so patient. Malik would actually hide within the shadow of a tree, not wanting to impose his presence on his teacher. ask him along the way 2 or 3 questions, that's it. He would walk away. And with this patient approach, Imam Malik was able to amass the knowledge of Nafi' and to take narrations that he heard from a companion who heard it from the Prophet ﷺ. This is the second teacher of Malik. A third teacher of Malik was a person called Muhammad ibn Shihab az-Zuhri. Ibn Shihab az-Zuhri. Malik, he said, we used to congregate at the door of Ibn Shihab, i.e. waiting for him to come out to teach us. We used to congregate at the doorstep of Ibn Shihab in such numbers that we would end up falling on top of one another. What dedication they exhibited for knowledge, dear brothers and sisters, subhanAllah. And Malik, he said on one day, this was a Eid day, I said to myself, this is a day when Ibn Shihab would have a bit more free time. So after the prayer, I went and I sat at his door. And I heard him say to his servant, go and see who's at the door. And he heard the servant say, this is your fair-haired student. This is Malik. And he said, allow him in, because Malik was almost blonde. He was very fair-haired. Ibn Shihab, he said to Malik, you haven't gone home? He said, Sa'id. He said, no, I haven't. He said, have you eaten anything? Malik said, no. He said, okay, eat this. Malik said, I have no need for this. He said, so why have you come? He said, so that you relate hadith to me. Ya Allah. So Ibn Shihab, he narrated to him 17 narrations of the Prophet ﷺ. And then Ibn Shihab said to Malik, what's the point of this knowledge if you don't memorize it? Malik said, I can repeat every one of them. I can repeat every one of them if you wish. That's the hadith, the text, and the chain of transmission. 17 of them. And in another narration, Malik took from him actually 40 narrations, which he repeated flawlessly to his teacher from memory. And then Ibn Shihab, he said to Malik the famous words, إِنَّكَ لَنِعْمَ الْمُسْتَوْدَعَ لِلْعِلْمِ. You are an excellent vessel for knowledge. You are such a good, excellent vessel for knowledge. What do we know about the students of Imam Malik? Well, we spoke a little bit about his teachers. One of his students was perhaps the most famous of them. He is Imam Shafi'i. The memorized Imam Malik's works called Al-Muwatta. Al-Muwatta is a book of hadith and fiqh, which comprises of around 1,720 narrations from the Prophet ﷺ and the companions and the Tabi'in. Imam Shafi'i memorized it at the age of 17 years old. One of Imam Malik's students was Abdul Rahman ibn Qasim al-Misri. Abdul Rahman ibn Qasim al-Misri. Key name here, who played such an important role in spreading the Maliki school of thought in Morocco, in Al-Andalus, Andalusia, because students from both of these regions were coming to Abdul Rahman when he came back to Egypt, and then established it within their respective regions when they went back. Also, it may be worth to take a note here that Abdul Rahman ibn Qasim, the student of Malik, and another one called Asad ibn al-Furat, and another called Sahnun, between them they compiled a book called Al-Mudawwana, which became the core text in the Maliki school of thought. One of Imam Malik's students is a man called Abdullah ibn Wahb. He was once sitting in a public hearing of hadith, and he heard a narration relating to the horrors of the Day of Judgment, and subhanAllah, he fell unconscious. So he was carried back home, and he remained unwell till he passed away. La ilaha illallah. Because of one hadith that he heard about the Day of Judgment. And you see, when you read the biographies of Imam Malik's students, it really gives you a clear idea as for who Imam Malik was, because students are usually a reflection of who their teacher was. These are just a few of Imam Malik's teachers. Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, he actually lists 1,300 of the students of Imam Malik who took directly from him. But in reality, the entire number of Imam Malik's students, it cannot be really enumerated. What do we know about the knowledge of Imam Malik? Imam Malik took knowledge from many teachers, including the 7 famous jurists of Medina, who were from the Tabi'een, who took their knowledge from the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And this, again, is a distinguishing trait of Imam Malik. He was able to take knowledge from the Tabi'een. Imam Malik, he said this, in fact, about himself. مَا أَفْتَيْتُ إِلَّا بَعْدَ أَنْ شَهِدَ لِي سَبَعُونَ وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ مُعَمَّمَ أَنِّي أَهْلٌ بِذَلِكَ. I have not assumed the position of giving fatwa only after 70 scholars bore testimony that I am fit to do so. 70 scholars said, you are fit to now teach and issue Islamic verdicts. And Malik would say, لا ينبغي لرجل أن يرى نفسه أهلا لشيء حتى يسأل من هو أعلم منه. One must never consider himself qualified to do anything until he first receives approval from those who are senior to him. Imam al-Shafi'i also said, إذا ذكر العلماء فمالك النجم. If scholars are made mention of, then Malik is the star of them all. Ibn Qasim said that Malik's quest and his spending of money for the purpose of knowledge ended up leading Malik to sell the roof of his house for the price of its wood. Ibn Qasim said, then the world opened up for him. Allahu Akbar. Meaning he struggled in the beginning for the sake of Allah, for the sake of learning, but then the world opened up for him. Imagine needing to sell the wood of your roof to continue to finance your quest for knowledge. Allahu Akbar. Allah has facilitated for us today. However, in perhaps what is maybe the greatest testimony for Imam Malik that we have, should it apply to him, are the words of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself. He said, يُوشِكُ أَنْ يَضْرِبَ النَّاسُ أَكْبَادَ الْإِبِلِ يَطْلُبُونَ الْعِلْمَ فَلَا يَجِدُونَ أَحَدًا أَعْلَمَ مِنْ عَالِمِ الْمَدِينَةِ. It shall soon be that people, he said, will be on camelback, seeking knowledge from all over the place, and they will not find anyone more knowledgeable than the scholar of Medina. Who is this scholar of Medina whom the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself has praised? A number of scholars, including Sufyan ibn Uyayna and Abdul Razak, stated that this scholar is in reference to Imam Malik himself. Ya Allah, Allahu Akbar. Ad-Darawardi also said that I saw in my dream that I had entered the masjid of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I saw the Prophet of Allah advising people, teaching people, when Imam Malik came in. And when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw Imam Malik, he said, come here. So Malik came close to the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam until he was very close to him. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took off his ring and he placed it on the ring of Imam Malik. And Ad-Darawardi said that I have interpreted this as being in reference to the knowledge of Imam Malik. La ilaha illallah. What do we know about the worship of Imam Malik? Imam Malik would, as was mentioned by Abu Mus'ab, he would prolong his bowing, his prostration during his voluntary salah. And when he would stand and pray, it was as if he resembled a dry plank of wood, meaning he was still, he was not moving in that salah of khushu' and haqqan. And his sister was asked the question, what did Malik do most of the time when he was at home? And she said, Al-Mus'hafu al-Tilawa. It was purely the Book of Allah and recitation. Fatima, the daughter of Malik, she said, Malik, my dad, he had a nightly portion of Salah. And on the evening of Friday, that we call Thursday night, but on the evening of Friday, he would spend the whole night in prayer. And Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he said in praise of Malik, رَأَيْتُ مَالِكًا فَرَأَيْتُ. I saw Malik and I saw a man who was humble, so he said to Allah, وَإِنَّمَا رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ بِسَرِيرَةٍ عَادَتْ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ. And he said, I believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated his rank due to a secret between Malik and Allah. And you should frequently hear Malik saying, whoever wants an opening to be made in his arms, he may open up the night. Wants to be saved from the intoxications of death and the horrors of the day of judgment. Let's ensure that most of his good deeds are private as opposed to the public.
وفي مؤسسة المغزة على افتتاح مركز تعليم أبنائنا مهارات القراءة والكتابة والقرآن الكريم، وذلك لإعادة تأهيلهم تربويا.
What do we know about the Haidah, meaning the awe of Imam Malik? See, being such a person of without worship, it becomes perfectly understandable why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would clothe Malik with the garment of Haidah, awe. Sa'id ibn Abi Maryam, he said, I have never in my life seen anyone who had greater awe than Imam Malik. In fact, his awe surpassed that of the Sultan, the greatest authority, the Khalifa of the Muslims, the greatest position from a worldly perspective. Malik had more of it when you saw him. He was filled with awe. Similarly, Imam Shafi'i, he would say, I have never felt greater awe towards anyone as the awe that I felt towards Malik when I first saw him. Not just Malik, however, there was this aura of anger, serenity and awe, even within the study circles of Imam Malik. He really wanted his students to respect the gatherings of light and to respect the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which he was essentially teaching. So before teaching, he would engage in the ghusl, full bath. He would wear his finest clothes. He would have incense lit during the circles of Habasha, honoring the gathering of such knowledge. And his students, subhanAllah, during our circles would very quietly write the pages of their books. Very quietly sharpen their pencils. Even the Muslim scholars who would sit in the gatherings of Imam Malik, they would not dare to interrupt him. It was so strange. And they all had their heads low, humbly, sure. No one dared to ask Imam Malik to repeat what he said, let alone maybe ask for the evidence for it. It seems, and Allah knows best, that this was a unique characteristic of Imam Malik's study circles. But his personality afforded him this ability to impose very strict rules of etiquette to his gathering. There was a statement made by Ibn Qa'na who said, I have never seen a gathering that was of greater awe than the gathering of Malik. He said, he was as if birds were sat on their heads. He was so still that if a bird were to come down, he would think that these are boulders of rock, the birds would land on them. It was as if birds were sat on their heads. No eating, no movement, no question. And Yahya ibn Yahya al-Andalusi said that I was once sat with Malik when two geckos landed on his head. They walked on his hands and they made their way to his neck, got beneath his clothes, and they came out the bottom. And Malik the entire time remained unfazed and watching to utterance of knowledge, the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad. And when this we may speak about the nothing had for the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abdullah ibn Mubarak said that I was once with Malik when he was conveying to us hadith when a scorpion made its way to Imam Malik and stung him 16 times. Imam suffered pain, but he was forcing himself to remain patient and not wanting to interrupt the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu was inconveniencing. When the study circle ended, people dispersed. I said to him, father of Abdullah ibn Malik, I saw something that baffled me. Why are you doing it this way? He said, yes. إنما صبرت إجلالا لحديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I said, I have shown the patience which you saw in order to honor the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that which Imam Malik had with the Messenger alayhi salatu wa sallam is full knowledge. Mus'ab ibn Abdullah, he said, whenever Imam Malik made mention of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his color would begin to change. And he would begin to lean forward as if in pain, subhanAllah. And when he was asked about this, he would say, if you had seen what I had seen, you wouldn't be surprised by my behavior. I saw Muhammad ibn al-Munkadir, who, whenever we would ask him about the hadith, he would cry and cry and cry until we would say, Ya Allah, Ya Holy Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, call me to shed tears merely by hearing his name. And Imam Malik said about Safwan ibn Salim that whenever he would make mention of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would cry profusely so people would get up and leave him, sat by himself weeping. La ilaha illallah. What do we know of Imam Malik's fear and consciousness and awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ibn Wahab, he said, if I wished, I could fill my entire scrolls in documenting the sheer number of times I heard Malik say, La adri, I don't know. Wasn't afraid to say, I don't know. In fact, there was a man who asked Imam Malik 48 questions, and in 32 of them, Malik said, I don't have an answer, I don't know. And I'm sure, however, you would agree with me that things today have changed a little bit. People are afraid to say, I don't know. In fact, things began to change very early on. One of our predecessors, his name is Ibn Sah, he said that the statement of I don't know has become now embarrassing for people to say in our times. Allahu Akbar. And this is what Ibn Sah, he said about his community. Bearing in mind that he passed away 250 AH, around 1,200 years ago. He's saying people are now afraid to say, I don't know, they're embarrassed to say it. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, however, and he is who he is, he was not afraid of saying, I don't know. In one narration, he said, مَا أَدْرِي تُبَّعُنَا لَعِينًا كَانَ أَمْ لَا وَمَا أَدْرِي ذُو الْقَرْنَيْنِ أَنَبِيًّا كَانَ أَمْ لَا وَمَا أَدْرِي الْحُدُودُ كَفَّارَةُ بِأَهْلِهَا أَمْ لَا. He said, I don't know if Tubba was a cursed man or not. And I don't know if Dhul Qarnayn was a prophet or not. And I don't know if capital punishment cleanses a person from sins or not. He said, I don't know. For a lot of these things which Allah Almighty later on taught him about. Some of these things. But when he did not know, he said, I don't know. The companion Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he also said, مَنْ أَفْتَى النَّاسَ فِي كُلِّ مَا يَسْتَفْتُونَهُ فَهُوَ مَجْنُونَ. A person who provides people with an answer to every one of the questions that they posed him, he's mad. And Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla, he said, I met 120 companions from the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of them would be asked a question. So he would refer the question to someone else. And that someone else would refer the question to someone else. And they kept doing this. So the question would end up back at the very first person who was asked. Abdul Rahman, he said, each and every single one of them would wish that his brother would spare him of the burden of needing to answer. So they were not afraid of exercising this Islamic practice of I don't know. Because they had recognized that any answer that you give, it's a signature on behalf of Allah and His Messenger. So realize that every opinion of yours, every lecture, every post, every comment, every tweet that was not the product of astute understanding and research and grounded knowledge and genuine sincerity, this is a forged signature. SubhanAllah, we find that whether this matter is political or social or judicial, almost everyone seems to have an opinion to share. Everything, medical, food, everyone has an opinion to share. Although one of our predecessors, Al-Hisn Al-Asdi, he said that إِنَّ أَحَدَكُمْ لَيُفْتِي فِي الْمَسْأَلَةِ لَوَرَدَتْ عَلَى عُمَرٍ لَجَمَعَ لَهَا أَهْلَ بَدْرٍ.